Now this is just an ordinary stone, but it happens to be roughly the same size as one of the most extraordinary artifacts ever discovered. I'm referring to something called the Pylos Combat Agate. This 3,500-year-old stone has been described as the most important archaeological find discovered in Greece in the last 65 years. And nobody knows how it was made. But we do have some theories though, and I'm really excited to share those with you. But first, we need to understand a little bit more about what this stone actually was and who might have made it. So as you can see, the agate is tiny, a mere 3.6 centimeters long and 1 centimeter wide. And scholars believe it was made back in 1450 BC. That's well back in the Bronze Age. To put that into perspective, that's a good 250 years before the traditional dates for the Trojan War, and a whopping 1,100 years before the time of Plato and Aristotle. The immensely old age of this find only adds to the mystery here. It was found in the grave of a Bronze Age warrior buried with a sword, with bronze armor, and an iconic boar's tusk helmet. He was also buried with several combs for what was presumably a luscious head of hair. He was dubbed the Griffin warrior because of another stone found in the tomb which had a depiction of that mythical beast. Now the Bronze Age Greeks, who we call Mycenaeans, made some beautiful stuff, but nothing like this had ever been found. In fact, nobody had expected that Bronze Age artists were even capable of making images with such unbelievable anatomical accuracy. I mean, look at the rippling muscles, the flowing hair, the plunging sword. It certainly echoes the works of the far later classical Greek sculptures, but on an extraordinarily minute scale. This carving has tiny details, some of which are not even visible to the human eye. It depicts a combat scene featuring a beardless, unarmored youth with long hair twisting the crest of his opponent's helmet away as he goes for the coup de grace. But at such a tiny size, what was this for? Well, it was a seal stone. A seal stone was essentially like a personal stamp or insignia that people would press onto a bit of clay, on a letter, or an object to show ownership over it. These seal stones could also act as unique pieces of jewelry. In fact, look at the agate itself. There, the attacking figure is himself wearing a seal stone around his wrist, a mere 0.45 millimeters in length. But the fact that it is a seal stone, and one of such exquisite quality, actually gave scholars a hint that its origins may not be found on mainland Greece at all. This is because no seal stone workshops have been discovered on mainland Greece at that time. But the Mycenaeans were in intimate contact with an older, even more mysterious civilization centered on the Aegean Sea's largest island. These were the Minoans of Crete, a people who spoke a non-Greek language and whose dazzlingly sophisticated art has inspired me ever since I first learned about them. Minoan craftsmanship is generally considered to be finer than that of the Mycenaeans, and we have plenty of evidence that they were making seal stones at this time. This makes a Minoan origin for the Pylos Combat Agate a good fit. The Griffin warrior may have bought it, traded for it, or raided it from the corpse of a Minoan adversary. But now that we've done all the context, what about the making of it? How is it done? Well, unfortunately, there are no texts describing such a process. The Minoan language, which is preserved to us in a script called Linear A, is frustratingly undeciphered to this day. God, how I long to read those tablets one day. Though to be fair, if they're anything like other Bronze Age texts, the majority are probably just inventories of olive oil and grain. So anyway, we are left to speculate about how the combat agate may have been made, but here are a few ways it might have been done. Agate is a pretty hard stone, but it may have been cut with a very fine copper or bronze tool. Except such a tool wouldn't hack it by itself, it would have to have been coated in a solution of water and powdered stone of a kind harder than agate, something like diamond or emery. Now this does sound like a very difficult way to carve such tiny details. No doubt it was. But we do know that using powdered stone in this way can work. Scientists have managed to cut granite blocks with copper tools like in Egypt by using this very technique. But the minuteness of the details need further explanation. How could someone even see what they were doing at that scale? Well, one answer relies on the type of person doing the work. It may have been made by a nearsighted artist. Nearsighted people, as you might imagine, can see things on a very small scale, and perhaps it was the naturally microscopic eyesight of the artist which allowed him to make such a masterpiece. The second option is that the artist had access to some sort of lens. Back in 1921, Sir Arthur Evans discovered numerous rock crystals when excavating the iconic Minoan palace at Knossos, and they were dated from between 1600 and 1400 BC, exactly the same time as when the combat agate was being made. 23 such crystals currently sit in the Archaeological Museum in Heraklion, and while some scholars maintain that they were probably just decorative, others do believe that some of these crystals were of sufficient quality to be used as magnifying glasses. It is at least possible in principle then that the carver of the combat agate had access to a naturally occurring rock crystal by whose light he carved this extraordinary scene. But ultimately, we don't know for sure how it was made, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories about it. Bonus points if you don't mention aliens or laser beams. But here's the thing that really fascinates me. How it was made is only the biggest of many, many mysteries that swirl around this tiny object. The battle scene. Who does it depict? Are these Minoan culture heroes, or are they Mycenaeans who are Minoan carved on commission? The heroic scene evokes the bloody duels of the Iliad. Could this image be somehow connected to the Trojan War or another historic conflict of that era? Who made this object, and how did the Griffin warrior obtain it? What did it mean, both to artist and wearer? And what does it say about our attitudes towards Bronze Age people that we never expected to find an item of such stupefying complexity some 1,000 years before the artistic triumphs of ancient Athens? Perhaps then this little rock raises more questions than it answers. But such mysteries provide so much of the fun of studying the ancient world and those familiar strangers who live there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, then please consider supporting the channel on Patreon. There you'll find video topics like an ancient Greek lion sculpture covered in Viking tattoos, and why a medieval English monk used the same spiritual techniques as Hindu yogis. Hope to see you there.